I had this dream back in 2001, I believe. Um, the dream starts with me standing at a building that I had never seen before. Um, I had only been saved for about 3 years at this point, so it's not a building that I had ever seen before. It wasn't until 10 years later that I saw a picture of a building that looked identical to the building I saw in my dream. And I was actually very surprised that the building that I saw in my dream was actually the temple in Jerusalem, Solomon's temple. At the time of the dream, I didn't know that that was Solomon's temple. 10 years later, I see a picture of it, and I realize the dream actually takes place at Solomon's temple. So this is actually the dream. I'm standing there. I'm actually on the second level of this of the temple, and I'm looking down. As I'm looking down, I see down below in the court a bunch of people, um, and I get the sense that this is some kind of Christian gathering of some kind. And there's nothing negative about it. It's just a Christian gathering, and they're mingling. One thing to note is that in my dream, I didn't have a physical body, but I could somehow talk. I could hear myself, but not actually make noise. It was almost like just my eyes were there, but not my physical presence. But anyway, so I'm looking down and I see these people there. Um, and then I look across to the other side of the building. Um, and on the other side of the building, above the doorway that leads into the inner court, there's a balcony there. That's not something that's in pictures of Solomon's temple, but it was there in my dream. There was a balcony above the door. And out from that balcony stepped a woman. Now, this woman, she was wearing a white and peach religious type outfit, something I had never seen before, but it looked like some kind of religious garment. She was an older white lady. I don't know exactly how old she was, but she looked like an older lady. She comes out from that balcony and she addresses the crowd. And with a loud voice, she announces to the crowd, "We found the Ark of the Covenant." And when she does that, when she makes that announcement, everybody down below in the court begins to cheer and celebrate. When this happens, I say to myself, why are they so excited? Our faith is not in religious artifacts, but in Jesus Christ. So I was confused as to why they would get excited about this discovery. Well, after she makes that announcement, she then makes another announcement. She then announces to the crowd, "We found," and she mentioned something else. In the dream, I understood what it was, but when I woke up, I couldn't remember what it was or what it was called. But, anyways, she makes this announcement, and I don't know what it is. I only get the impression after I woke up, I got the impression that it had something to do. It was some kind of device that they discovered that in the ancient times they used for navigation or something, I think, or to find location or something like that. Some kind of ancient device of that nature. I don't know exactly what. But anyways, when she makes that second announcement, everybody in the court takes it with less enthusiasm. Okay. After she makes these two announcements, she runs down to the first floor of the building of the temple, and I could see her run down. Even though there's a brick wall there, and I don't see a staircase. I don't know how, but I'm able to see her run down, and she runs down very animated, very fast. She was very odd the way she ran down. And when she runs down, she stands under the second story, and she just kind of stands there. Everybody in the court is absolutely still and quiet, and she's just standing there now too. And she's down there with the crowd, and she's completely still and quiet. As I'm looking down still, entering the court, I see two Roman soldiers, two men dressed in Roman soldier gear, and they're walking in carrying a crate. When I see this, I say to myself, they have the Ark of the Covenant here. Um, I also say to myself, I thought they had just discovered it. I didn't realize that they have it here already. I said that to myself, so it kind of caught me off guard. So I see these two Roman soldiers walking in, and they're carrying this crate, which I understand to be the Ark of the Covenant. Um, so they carry it about midway into the court, and they let it down. They literally kind of drop it, and they're carrying it with poles, by the way, kind of like you would imagine the ark would be carried by poles on both sides. But it's only two Roman soldiers, and they're carrying it with poles, and they just kind of drop it down about halfway to in the middle of the court, but to the left, and they drop it between a pillar and some other object there that I can't make out what it is. But there's an object. There's an object to the right, and then there's a pillar to the left, and they just kind of drop it in between the two. Um, and then one of the Roman soldiers goes up to it with, I think he has a pry bar, and he opens the top of the crate. And when he does that, all the sides of the crate just fall down. So inside this crate is a gold looking box, which is supposed to be the Ark of the Covenant. But when I see it, it doesn't look like the Ark of the Covenant as described in the Bible. Clearly described in the Bible, it's square. It has its particular features like the mercy seat, and you got the angels on the top. But this ark was it was elongated, but it had almost an octagon shape. All the corners had a 45-degree angle to them all. So it was almost you can almost describe this ark like like an octagon shape. And on the top of the ark, I was looking on the top of the ark for the mercy seat. And as I was looking at the top of the ark and I was looking for these features, I saw what looked like two lions attacking each other, like an embroidered image of two lions attacking each other. But one of the Roman soldiers kept getting in my view, so I couldn't get a clear look at it. When this Roman soldier moves out of the way and I get a clear view of the top of this ark, what's actually embroidered on the top of this lid is not cherubim, it's not the mercy seat, it's the image of a lion. And the lion has this sneering, mean face with his teeth out, and his claws are near his face, like he's in attack position. So as I'm looking at this, I say to myself, this doesn't look like the ark at all, but I kind of dismiss it. And I kind of excuse it, just assuming that the description in the Bible might have been a little bit wrong. I don't think much about it. I just kind of dismiss it and assume that this is the ark. But I do have reservations, telling myself this doesn't look like the ark at all. That this looks a little unusual. Okay, so now one of the same Roman soldier, now he starts to walk up to the ark, and it's my understanding he's about to open it. And when I see him approach the ark, I say to myself, if he touches that ark, he should die. I know this because in the Old Testament, when the ark was being carried and it almost fell down, an individual touched the ark to keep it from falling, and when he did, he immediately died. I knew that story in the Bible at the time, and so I said to myself in the dream, if this man touches it, he should die. He can't touch the ark. Well, he goes up to the ark and he touches it, obviously, and he doesn't die. As soon as that happens, I say to myself, this is not the ark. This is a false ark. This can't be the ark. So he goes up to this ark and he unlatches what appears to be some latches that are holding down the lid. And the lid kind of jumps up and moves off a little bit. And then the Roman soldier completely pushes the lid off. And when he does, inside this ark, I see what looks like black water. And it looks like it's bubbling, and it's just black water. So I'm staring at this false ark and this black water inside, and I see something moving around inside, and it seems like it has a big body, and it looks scaly. And I just saw like a big bump come out of the water. When I see that big bump, that big scaly bump, I say to myself, oh God, there's a large dragon in there. So as I'm staring, I continue to look at this black liquid inside this false ark. And as I do, a head emerges from the liquid. And I'm half expecting a large dragon to come out of this ark. And what happens is a large head comes out of this water, of this black water. And it's the head of a dragon, but it has the body of a snake or a serpent. And when I see this, I say to myself, oh, it's a serpent with the dragon's head. The best way I can describe the serpent with the dragon's head is images I've seen of a creature called Leviathan. Now, we know in the Bible, Leviathan is a multi-headed serpent, but there are other images depicting Leviathan as being a single-headed serpent. So I see this serpent with a dragon's head just sort of flopping around. It doesn't have any arms, it has no wings, it's just kind of flopping around. I expect some kind of loud sound to come out of this serpent with the dragon's head. But when it opens up its mouth and tries to roar, all I hear is a tiny squeak. Um, it's just a very small squeak. Nothing really loud at all comes out of his mouth. And all of a sudden, my vision in the dream, it just zoomed in on his face, and I could see his face up close. And up close, he looked weak. I don't know how to describe it. His face didn't look intimidating. The whole time this is happening, nobody in the court is reacting to what's happening or to what I'm seeing. When I see this serpent with the dragon's head bust out and all that, nobody's reacting to any of this. They're just completely still and just like they're just there doing absolutely nothing. So now the scene completely changes, and now we're on a large grass field with a lot of hills. In this part of the dream, I now have a physical body and I'm physically present. So now everybody that was in the building, in the temple, is now out on the grass field running around frantically. And that serpent with the dragon's head is chasing them. I can only say that I'm off to the side, kind of like if you were on a football field and there's a game happening on the field, and then you got the sidelines, and there's people on the sidelines just observing. I'm on the side, and I see a bunch of people running around frantically, being chased by the serpent with the dragon's head. I also noticed that there's about 20 other people there with me on the side. Some of them are behind me, some of them are to my left and right. What I also see is I see that false ark is chained to its neck, and he's dragging that false ark around everywhere he goes. And I see it looked like a long gold cable that was wrapped around the serpent's neck, and it was connected to that false ark. And everywhere he went, he was dragging around that false ark with him. And also, what I also noticed that was this serpent. He had a big. I just noticed he had one big white eyeball, and the whole time he was chasing everybody around, and he was snapping at them and all that. His one eyeball was watching all of us on the side. So as I'm watching this whole thing, and as I'm witnessing all this occurring, I say to myself, or I say out loud, I should say, I say out loud, guys, we're going to have to kill this thing. And then I hear somebody, I believe it's a man, I hear a man say, basically echo what I say, and he says, yes, we're going to have to kill this thing. And as soon as I say that, there's somebody standing in front of me. He looks like almost like a midget or a dwarf. And he's standing right in front of me, and he turns back to me and he smiles and he says, hey, and he says my name, and he throws me a blazing sword. And when he does, I think to myself, I'm going to cut its head off. So I'm not actually going out onto the field to attack this thing. I'm still there just on the side. I'm hoping that this serpent with the dragon head comes close enough to me that I can cut its head off. And at one moment, he comes right in front of all of us that are on the side there. This big serpent with the dragon's head passes right in front of us, and I take a swing, but I miss because he's still too far away. But when he does, this serpent is enormous. It's really big. It's really big. I just remember this really big, fat serpent body passing right in front of us, and I try to cut its head off, but I miss. And then the dream ends right there. Things to note: at no time when I was there on the side watching this dragon chase people, at no time was I afraid, was I fearful. In fact, I felt like there was nothing the serpent could do to me, that all I needed to do was get close enough to cut its head off. Um, Let me tell you about another dream that I had subsequently the very next day when I took a nap at work. I decided to take a quick nap at work during my lunchtime. And in that moment, in that very brief sleep, I had another dream that I think is somewhat related to this dream. I had a very brief dream that I'm standing at the bottom of a mountain, and I'm looking up at the mountain, and I see helicopters, and I see people on the side of the mountain, and they're digging something out of the mountain. In my dream, it's my understanding that they've discovered Noah's Ark, and it's on the side of this mountain. So as I'm looking up and I see all these people working on the side of the mountain trying to unearth Noah's Ark, I try to get a good look of what they've uncovered so far. When I walk around a little bit to get a better view, I see something sticking out of the mountain, but it isn't Noah's Ark at all. It looks like the head of a giant statue of a lion. And the lion has this really mean, snarling face. But the whole time, the people digging it out think that this is Noah's Ark, but it's a statue of a large lion. And then the dream ends.